This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia. Listen to my radio show, A Tip from Gilbert. Talk, inspiration, and prayer every Monday from 11 a.m. till noon on Houston's gospel leader, KWWJ. 1360 AM and streaming live on kwwj.org. Listen on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM and streaming live on kyokradio.org. KCOH 1230 AM, The Source. On Sand Geek Radio 95.1 FM 1460 AM. And Aliento Radio 101.7 FM and 1540 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then. This is Gilbert Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert. Houston's not working for everyone. People don't feel safe. Potholes are everywhere. Water bills are skyrocketing, and minority businesses are struggling. That's why I entered the race for mayor. Read about my 100-day pledge to Houston at GarciaForHouston.com. Thank you.
Political ad paid for by Garcia for Houston campaign.
All right, Houston, here you got me. You got me, Gilbert Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, Talk, Inspiration, and Prayer, and now mayoral candidate. And, of course, with my sidekick, Ruby Dang. Welcome, Ruby.
Hey, Gilbert. Happy Monday.
I want everyone to know that while I may sound a little nasally and all that kind of stuff, I do not have COVID. I do not have COVID. And I am not contagious, but I don't know what happened, Ruby. It's just that my allergist said, and I go to the allergy clinic, Dr. Engler, and you know, I can't say enough great things about him. He's been dealing with me, starting with his father for probably 30 or 40 years, and now he's dealing with all my kids because I have allergies. And those of you who have allergies know you're going to always have allergies. You're just learning to live with allergies. And he just said, you know, with all this climate stuff and this and that, it's getting hotter. It just pushes everything back, and everything was trying to bloom, and it's all blooming.
Yeah.
And so there it is.
Yeah. The Dang Gang is also.
The Dang Gang is out? Oh, my God. The Dang Gang is out. Well, I totally get it. So those of you out there, I'm not here to plug anybody, and I don't get paid for any of this, but the allergy clinic does me right.
Yes.
So, you know, Ruby, today is the first day of early voting.
Yes, how
so
exciting.
Early voting goes from now till November 3rd, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And, you know, it's tough out there. And, you know, you never want to accuse anybody of anything, but I could say this. I will take the pledge that says none of my supporters are going to take down any signs of any candidate. I will make that pledge. So I just would like to see if Senator Whitmire will make that pledge. You know, I mean, I'm not saying he's doing anything or not, for that matter, all of them. But, I mean, I just want them all to, I mean, it's silly.
It is silly.
To go take down a bunch of signs. And I'm not going to take down their signs because I'm not. That's just not how Garcia rolls around here. That's what's called the cabal.
Right.
You know, they have professional sign taker downers, I guess, because as soon as my signs are up, they're down.
Yep.
And then I got to go put them back up again, and then they're down. Well, I take that pledge, and I'm letting everyone know I'm not going to take down anybody else's signs, period. So I urge all the candidates to take the same pledge, and let's stop the nonsense. And let's let the people decide the right way, which is let them have information and let them decide.
Right.
So I got to first talk about the Astros because you might recall, oh, my God, we already have a bunch of people calling. So let's go to Dominic because Dominic's my man on the plan about how to utilize Metro during these voting periods because Metro is there to serve the people. We will talk more about Metro. So, Dominic, are you there? Dominic. Hit me, Dominic. Dominic.
Yes, Gil, can you hear me?
We can hear you well, pal. Talk to us. Tell us what is going on with how can someone get to the polls for free and Metro once again doing their service.
Okay, great. I have the press release from Metro. So this is Metro's words. This is not Dominic's words. So I will read the press release. Release date. Okay.
You will read it as soon as you get it.
Well, basically, hey,
you can summarize. You summarize.
I can summarize. Any Metro service that is not a 200 series service, that is the big park and ride service. That's local bus, that's BRT bus, light rail, curb to curb, or Metrolift. If you are going to the polls from today to this coming Sunday, and it's from the 23rd to the 29th, just get on the vehicle and tell the operator or the fare inspector or the Metro cop that you are riding to the polls or from the polls, and you can ride for free. And that's, again, that's for all local services. And my thing is, that's one less reason why you should not use an excuse not to vote. People need to get off their hemorrhoids and do their constitutional thing and go vote.
Holy cow. I don't know about hemorrhoids, but can you even say that word on the radio? I guess so, because they have commercials about them.
Yes, they do.
And we're all people. At the end of the day, Dominic, it's deeper than that. People have died and suffered for this right to vote. All you got to do is go back in time and look at people and Miss Rosa Parks and others who were killed, gave their life. We've got to vote, especially people of color. Especially the Latino community, because people say, oh, Latinos, well, they don't really matter because they don't vote. Mm-hmm. Yes, we matter. We pay taxes and we're human beings. And yes, go vote. We've got to vote. And are you ready for this, Dominic? The projections are that the voting turnout of the roughly 2 million odd people that live here in the city limits of the city of Houston, not the county and everything else, but the city of Houston, that we're probably going to have no more than about 230,000 voters.
That's terrible.
We've got to do better. And, I like the idea of things like 24-hour voting and this and that, but I understand the concept of making sure that all the votes are counted properly. And I don't know what's going on this mess with the Secretary of State where they looked and numbers don't jive and all. I mean, all I know is before we made a lot of changes, it seems like there wasn't a lot of trouble. Right. And now there's a bunch of trouble. Yeah. And I don't know who had the great idea of going back to paper ballots. Yep. I mean, here we are in the year 2023. When I was in high school watching cartoons like the Jetsons, I would think by now we'd be riding in the air. But my gosh, we're still doing voting by paper ballot. Yep. Can you imagine that, Ruby? If I told you when you were in high school and you're watching the Jetsons or Mork and Mindy and all these things about, and I said, and guess what? 50 years from now, you're still going to be voting with paper.
Wow. No,
I mean, what's happening? What is happening? We got to do better. And if you can buy, you can buy like a car on an app. You can buy food delivery. You can buy anything. You can get a car to car, point to point. But you know what? But you can't vote. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. But Dominic,
again, one more thing. And this is also being sponsored. This Metro Right thing. The League of Women Voters is also pushing this with Metro.
Well, thank you, the League of Women Voters, but that still doesn't make up for the fact that you changed the rules, and you did. And I'd like to know who told you to change the rules. They changed the rules because before it was if you had 5% polling numbers or if you had $50,000, you were on the debate. And that's what the debate was for the last mayoral cycle. But not this time, not with Garcia, meaning me. They changed the rules. And yes, they told us, but that's not the point. The point is, why do they change them? And when did they change them? And who decided on the change? So then it became the actual number of contributors. Now, of course, they know that, I've been not self-financing, but I've been giving money and so forth. But I would have never dreamed to do this. Are you ready for what they did, Ruby? 2 candidates, one in particular, and I don't blame them. I blame the League of Women Voters. 2 candidates, and Houston, if you think I'm wrong, just call in and tell me. 2 candidates just put on the internet, random. I am running for mayor, and I want to be in this debate, and I need more contributions. Can you give me $1?
Wow.
So one person got 400 people, some in like Hawaii, to give $1. And so she was on the stage, and the other one got like 30, and he was on the stage. And I don't fault them. League of Women Voters, shame. You know that the Chronicle had the 3 of us. They wrote a nice spread. They endorsed Whitmire. I have no problem with that, other than I have a problem with it. But, in other words, they have the right to endorse whoever they want. That's right, yeah. And they wrote some stuff about me, and they wrote some stuff about Sheila, and it was all very positive. And I saw their logic for Whitmire, and I totally get it, and that's fine. So clearly, they had defined the main players, just the three of us,
Right.
but not the League of Women Voters. Anyways, I appreciate you bringing it up so you could, make my day already upset more than it already is with my allergies, Dominic. You already got me going, and I wasn't going till I heard about the call of everybody tearing down my signs.
Oh, it's
and I
terrible.
make that pledge. Senator Whitmire, I hope you make that pledge with me. Everyone, Sheila, Ujami, MJ Khan, Lowy, all of them. Christy, let's all make that pledge. All of us.
Taking those
Gallegos,
signs down-
everybody.
Taking those signs down is an affront to our constitutional rights.
Amen to that. Dominic, thank you for calling. So
Okay, bye.
Dominic's always got the plan. I know we have another caller, but before we do, I always have people say, well, Gilbert, when is the next stuff? When is the next stuff? So I'm going to read right here on October 26th, because I don't have the calendar in front of me. Ruby, if you would be my sidekick, what day is that? It's like Thursday, right? The 26th?
Yes.
On Thursday is the Willow Meadows Civic Club. And I don't know if I'm going to this one only because it's the same time as another one. And then there's Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice. They're both on October 26th. One is at 6 p.m. and one is at 5:30. If I can make both, I will. Of course, the Willow Meadows is dancing with the candidate. So I don't really know if that's – I could lose votes, Ruby, if I go up there.
Goodness.
I mean, I could do the floss. I think I could do the floss, but that's about it.
So I'm curious, how does that work?
I don't got the rules yet. Is that even proper English? I don't got the rules yet. I don't know the rules
So
yet.
do they ask about your view on an item and then you dance? You decide what dance?
Yeah, and
where?
maybe that's it. They say, what is your view on what do you call it? The washing machine? Or no, what are all those ones where you the Charlie Brown, or what's your take on the twist? And then you just do it. I don't know. That's a good
Interesting.
point. We got to get those rules because, who knows? Maybe I would get the sympathy vote. Everybody say, that guy's got no rhythm. So we're going to definitely vote for him.
Mhm.
Kind of like, remember the movie with, oh my gosh, I just sent it to everyone at the firm. It'll come back to me. Steve Martin, when he had no rhythm.
Yep.
All right, here we go. And then, of course, the big debate is the Houston Chronicle TSU Mayoral Forum, October 30th at 7 p.m. It'll be very interesting to see who's invited, because that's another one that I think has these rules.
Mhm.
And we shall see if yours truly is invited. I hope I'm invited, but I've been invited to everything else except the League of Women Voters. But maybe I'll be 0 for 2.
Yep.
So we shall see. But so let me just say it again. Willow Meadows, Dancing with a Candidate, October 26th, 6 p.m. Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice, October 26th, 5:30. And the Houston Chronicle TSU Mayoral Forum, October 30th at 7 p.m. I'm really happy to see a lot of these University of Houston, TSU type things, because when I go to these forums, I see a lot of young people. And I'm very excited to see in their eyes the excitement of voting. Some of them, it's their first time to vote. And it's a beautiful thing. And we as adults need to cultivate that and really make them really see the importance of voting.
Well, it's it's their future, right? The city.
That's right. It's their
is for
city.
them.
It's
And
their city.
so-
So I have a lot more to say, but I have a question from someone, a caller already. We have a caller. Who's there? Is there a Matthew there?
Matthew? Hello, Matthew. I'm trying for you now.
Matthew. Matthew, you there? Matthew.
Hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, pal. What are you doing?
Beautiful. Hey, you know what? I'm going to go early vote today, since I tend to be an early voter.
You're going to go
But,
early vote? Where are you going to go?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go to the one on 1019 Congress. It's like the Harris County Attorney's Office. Don't quote me on this.
Okay, hold on. Delete the quote. I just had him quoted. Delete the quote. Delete. These days you got to be careful because there's tape recordings everywhere.
Yes, there are.
And I mean, come on, stop recording, everybody. Other than record my show. But no, going back. So you're going to go early vote. Have you early voted before?
In fact, every election that I've been able to participate in, I always early vote.
What a good
I
citizen.
highly recommend.
Tell Houston how easy it is. I mean, what do you do to early vote? Is it you can go anywhere, or what's the rules?
So there are certain locations that may vary from your default, like the election day voting.
By the way, I did something
location.
terrible. You're never supposed to do. Blow your nose on the radio. I can't help it, Houston. It's my allergies. I mean, my goodness. Go ahead, Matthew. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No worries. So it may vary depending on election day, the place that you get to go to. But just check your local election map. And me personally, since I work downtown, I always end up going to the one on Congress. This location that I mentioned earlier is the one that I've voted at, I think, since I've been able to vote.
But go
around
back. Do you show your
2012.
ID? How do they know you're you?
Oh yeah, all you have to do is show your ID, and while you're not allowed to bring in, like you can't use your phone to, because we have one of the longest ballots in the country, so you can't use your phone to, check your notes. So I always just write down who I'm going to vote for, and just bring like the list in. They'll let you bring down a written list in
They will?
to do your vote.
We
I
have
think
one of the
you can
longest.
pull down a sample ballot.
You can?
I think so. Do you know that's
Yep.
true, Matthew? I think you can pull down a sample ballot and you can take it in with you.
Like, where would you do that if you don't
Um,
do it on your phone?
That would be, I think, from Harris County. They offer a sample ballot that you can print out and bring in. The problem being that the ballot that we have is the longest in the country.
How do you?
And I think
Who
that-
told you that? How do you know that?
I read that
I
somewhere.
remember reading about this the last election that we had during the general election, because I want to say our sample ballot was like 5 pages long, and I was like, this has to be the longest.
Well, is it
There's no way.
because of a word count, or the words are big, or it's paper or spacing? I mean, what? I mean, I don't know. That sounds like hallelujah. Oh my gosh.
I think it is mostly due to the fact that we vote for judges as well.
Oh
as,
yes.
As other people, most places judges just kind of selected onto the position, based on the pool. But for us, we actually vote them on. So that's kind of what makes it so long for us.
Well, Matthew, I am so glad you're telling us. So you show up, and is it true that the lines are really, really short?
There's no line. In fact, when I'm looking at the site right now, it says there's a 0-minute wait. So if you want to go get it done now, that was the time.
Oh my God. Tell everybody again, where is there 0-minute wait?
This is at 1019 Congress Street in downtown Houston.
1019 Congress, 0 wait, Houston. That means there's 0 reason why you cannot vote, because there's no line, no nothing, no hassle. Your ID, bam, boom, and you can go to any voting location. Is that correct now, Matthew?
Yeah, any voting location, as long as you have your ID, and if you want to have notes, bring in some paper notes. But all you really need is your ID to get in and vote.
Very good. Now, what about Proposition A and B? Are you familiar with those, Matthew?
I am not familiar, but this is why I do my research. So you go ahead and tell me.
Well, Proposition A, and by the way, these are the city propositions. Proposition A is about letting 3 members of city council put something on the agenda. And Houston, I am for that. And here's the thing. The mayor, and again, different leaders, different styles, so I'm not judging him, but he won't put anything on the agenda unless he wants to. When I was chairman of Metro, I had the same power, and that's absolute power, because if you don't put it on the agenda, you cannot talk about it in the public, and then you cannot even vote on it. When I was chairman of Metro, anytime I had a board member that wanted something on the agenda, I put it on. Why? Because that's what good governance is, and that's what good leadership is, and I'd rather talk about the issues in front of the public than in the cloakroom in the back. So a lot of council members just got frustrated, and various people, and so they are now putting on the ballot for us to vote on that if 3 council members want something on the agenda, they get to put it. And you know what? 3 is a little thin, but you know what? If that's the only way, let's do it. So I support it. So that's Proposition A. Proposition B is about HGAC. That stands for the Houston Galveston Area Council. And our region, which is 13 counties, receives federal funds from Washington based upon our population. And it goes to this region that has a governing board. And I don't recall the number of board members, but it's a very large board. It's like 30 members or over 30. And they spend money on things like roads and other sort of infrastructure improvements, drainage, et cetera. And it's on a formula based on the population. And so the population, of course, is dominated in this region by Houston and the unincorporated parts of Harris County. So that's really why we get all the money that we get. But yet, are you ready for this, Matthew? We are outvoted consistently because the number of Houston people on that board is very small, and it's not in relation to the population. So for that means that when all the money comes down, very little gets spent in Houston or Harris County. Now go tell me that makes sense.
That doesn't make any
That
sense.
makes no sense.
Makes no sense.
That'd be like saying the state of Texas sends, $1 gazillion to the federal government, and all of the money gets spent in like Vermont
Yeah,
and all these other states, but not Texas.
You need to
That's
bring
what that-
everything here.
That's right. I mean, because that's how you're getting the money
Mhm.
based upon the people that live here. So clearly they need the resources. And most of the people on the outside of the region, a lot of them probably derive some of their either income or work or something. They shop at time to time in Houston anyway, or come into the airports or something. So it makes no sense. So what it is saying is it's giving the mayor the authority to push to have representative voting based upon population.
So how do these issues get put on the ballot?
Well, funny that you asked. Not funny, but I'm glad you asked. You've got to collect, and I forgot the number, like 25,000 or 40,000 signatures.
Mhm.
And for the second one, Proposition B, I was one of the biggest donors for them to collect the signatures. Now, it's a little trickier than that
Mhm.
because the governor has certain approvals. It's very convoluted,
Mhm.
but it'll give the mayor the mojo to say the people want us to pull out of this.
Mhm.
And then that will, in my view, force people to negotiate a better resolution and a better voting structure.
Yeah.
So I was one of the big donors, touche to a lot of these sort of young progressives in town that are working super duper hard, that are really trying to make a difference and change. And they caught on to this issue, and I think it's fantastic.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you. So Matthew, what else do you got for us before I take my next caller?
Hey, you know what? Actually, a question on Prop A. So that's only for them to put it on the agenda, not to actually vote or do anything affecting like the proposal being put out.
Well,
essentially.
once it's on the agenda, then it's discussed, and then a council member can make a motion from the floor, because if it's on the agenda, then put it for something for a vote. And then, of course,
okay.
it will then be like on the subsequent meeting. But at the end of the day, that's how you get something to be voted on council. You got to have it on the agenda. If it's not on the agenda, it never gets discussed, so it can never, ever be considered.
I'm convinced. I think I agree with your view on that.
Yeah,
'cause
I mean-
I really hadn't put too much thought into it.
Think about it. If you're a council member, actually imagine this. There are 16 council members and the mayor is 17. If there are 7 council members that want to talk about something, and remember, you got to be careful when you're an elected official. You cannot have what's called a walking quorum, which means you cannot talk to majority of people. You cannot, it's all about protecting the citizens from transparency. You cannot go into a meeting and all talk about it at like a gala or something. So if several council members would like to have something on, but they don't really know where everybody else stands, they cannot poll everybody because that's a walking quorum.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, you got to just say, here's somebody said here, Dominic, Moody Park Community Center has early voting within 100 feet of Moody Park Station on the North Line extension of the Red Line. Thank you, Dominic. So the whole point is, the long and short of it is just council members, you deserve to be heard. You represent people. You deserve to be heard. And so ultimately, Mayor, your style is just different than mine. That we're not making judgments. I want council members to be heard. That's how I think you really build trust. That's how I built it at Metro. And I think the people deserve to know what's going on. It's their money. It's not the mayor's money. It's the people's money. So I thank you for that, Matthew. Thank you for calling in.
No, glad to be here. And go vote.
Go vote. I got another caller already. This is a Raul. Raul, are you there? Raul.
You know, I was looking as you were talking to Matthew, I pulled up the sample ballot. It's 20 pages long.
No,
So
it cannot be.
that's what it shows here.
I mean, my gosh, can't we oh my gosh, no.
But there's 14 propositions on there, as well as, all the local elections. So
Holy cow. Raul, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Raul, you got me, Gilbert Garcia, and my sidekick for today, Ruby Dang. What do you got, Raul?
No, my president told me to call y'all and tell y'all about my experiences with Meyer, and I'll gladly tell y'all the experiences that I had.
Sure. Whether it's good or bad, and this is not a primed call. You say whatever you want, my friend. When you said you're president, you're president of what, sir?
Transport Workers Union.
All right. What do you got? Tell us.
When we met up with them at first, and like any other representative, we meet up with them and talk to them. And we took off on the wrong foot because when we asked him about his ideas about transit, he gave me some crazy ideas, which I told him, you're asking for our endorsement. but you're saying you're gonna move our funds and you're gonna allocate money for Metro because Metro has too much money, that Metro has deep pockets. And I explained to him that those deep pockets aren't as deep as people think because that money is actually already allocated for different programs. He talked to us about the Silver Line. He said that it's a useless line and he wants to get rid of it. And I told him that that line was federally funded. And when you get a federal fund, you have to abide by everything that the federal fund says, or not you have to reimburse them the money. And he said it was a useless line. I said, well, then Metro would have to pay millions of dollars back to the federal funds to get rid of it. But it's not useless. I explained to him, like everything else in Houston and nationwide and maybe worldwide, the numbers came down on everything because of the pandemic. But it's a functioning line that is actually working, moving people through the gallery area, through different areas, just like the medical center. During the pandemic, it slowed down like everything else, and now the numbers are picking up. And his ideas of fixing somebody's problems by taking another person's taking another person's funds to fix somebody else's problems, that's just going to create havoc. Metro, like you know, because you've been on the board, it's a great system. It does from fixing lighting and roads to doing the shelters to finding a way to get somebody from point A to point B, regardless it be a taxi, a van, a bus. In the future, hopefully, we'll have bike shares that we can move people around. Why would you defund one of the best programs in the nation? If it's one of the best 6 out of 10 times, why would you change it? I see improving it, but why would you, like he says, scrub it down to the bare?
Well, you know what, Ro? I just got to interrupt you only because you got me going now, man. It is appalling that you still have these people. They're always the smartest guys in the room, right? And they've been attacking Metro for like 40 years. 40 years. Can you imagine what type of system, Raul, we would have if they would have just embraced Metro, embraced the inner city, embraced people that can't afford a car, embraced people that live in the burbs and want to take park and ride, and they don't even say anything about, when I hear people say, oh, Metro, imagine, do you think that we could even have the medical center as great as it is when about 30% of the people in the medical center get to work on a Metro service? Downtown is the same. And here's another one, Raul, that maybe you don't know, is think about the rodeo. I don't know how many people go to the rodeo. I love the rodeo, except the traffic is horrendous. Yep. And do you know the Metro line is jam-packed? And we could not pull off Texan games, Astros, World Series. We couldn't do any of these things. We want to bring the World Cup here, and you don't want to have Metro working? Are you out of your mind?
Right.
So, Raul, I so appreciate you. Go, you go.
If we had the support we need, we wouldn't have won the nation's award 6 out of 10 years. I think that if we actually had just a little bit more support, I think we would have won the nation's award 10 out of 10 years.
Well, here's the thing, Raul. You got me going, baby. In the day when the great systems were built, when you had subways, for every $1 that Metro would have put up, the federal government would have put in $4. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine that? We wasted all that infrastructure investment. And now, because the federal government is broke or struggling, when you put in $1, you only get $1. Can you imagine what we could have done with all that federal funding? And you know where it went? Dallas, LA, Philadelphia, and they have big systems. Yeah. And here's the other thing. We always say about, drainage. And yes, drainage is a problem. But every time you build a transit system, you improve the drainage, you improve the streets, you improve the sidewalks, all the things people want. And so it's just appalling to me. And when you talk about that, because they always hit me about this one, Raul, and I want to correct you on one thing, if you don't mind. That Silver Line was built with TERS money. Mm-hmm. The TERS, and you could be against TERSs, and I'm not a big fan of TERSs, right? And I've already said I'm not going to create another one. Houston, what that means is you get a certain part of the city, you kind of wall it off, you kind of build a circle around it, and that's the area that the property taxes are capped, and that area gets to spend the increment forever. And, of course, it was meant to help blighted areas, and instead it's become an area where those that have significant funds keep getting more significant funds. Mm-hmm. And that's uptown, that's Kirby, Upper Kirby, it's downtown, it's in Midtown. And yet they have so much money, they have wonderful Christmas lights and all these things, but yet you have parts of the city that have open ditches, that don't even have drainage, that have, busted roads, that don't even have sidewalks, much less bike lanes, that don't even have sidewalks.
Yeah.
And so it was built by the Uptown Tours. They spent like, I don't know, 200 odd million. And then HGAC, which is a group I talked about earlier, first time we ever got transit money from them. I think it's the only time, but I'm not sure on that. Put in about 50 or 60 million, and TxDOT put in 25 million. The only thing that Houston Metro does, it provides the drivers, and we bought the buses. But in reality, they designed it, they built it, they did the trees, they did everything. And here's the other thing, Raul, that gets me. We had to do it that way. Why? Because the voters have voted time and time again to support Metro, and the voters voted for transit on that corridor. They did. So let's stop fighting that, Mr. Whitmire, and let's just say the voters, this is what they wanted. Your job isn't to question the voters. If you're mayor, it's to implement the will of the voters. At least that's what I think the mayor should do. And ultimately, the system is incomplete, and it will be incomplete until you connect the rail on the east side with the bus rapid transit on the west side. It will be incomplete until they're connected. And we had to do it that way because that's what, John Culberson and others were trying to stop transit on the inner city. And you got to go back in time when people say, and Raul, you're probably saying, golly, I thought I was calling into his show. Raul, here's one more, and then I'll be quiet and give you some airtime, my friend. Here's the other thing. When people say, and I hear it all the time, you were Metro chairman, how come we don't go to the airport? How come we don't have a subway? It's real simple. Look at history. 1/4 of Metro's revenue stream was permanently taken 25 years ago, under Mayor Lanier. And I'm not judging him or not, or this or that. This is not about him, and God rest his soul. And he was someone that really helped mentor me. But the facts are the facts. 1/4 of the revenue stream was taken away permanently. And that's why we don't have everything. The last thing we need is a mayor who's already saying they're going to take more Metro money away from Metro. Because where are you going to take it? We just voted to expand all the rail lines and rail system and all the transit. We just voted on it and got almost 70% of the vote. And we voted on another referendum that I managed in 2012 and got almost 80% of the vote. So you're just going to tell the voters, no, 70% of you said, 80% of you said, that's not right. Raul, take it away. What else you got?
I also wanted to let people know, because a lot of people, this is what bugs me and it brings up to me every time that I talk to a lot of politicians, is I tell them straight out. I said, Metro, besides it providing transportation, it also opens up the jobs and the economy here in Houston. They're saying, how so? It's just transportation. But what they don't realize, when the infrastructure bill got passed, a lot of construction workers came back to work. A lot of electricians came back to work. A lot of plumbers. And these aren't my union members. They're other unions, other family members, other people that need jobs here in Metro. And all that is driven by Metro money. Anywhere where a bus, a rail line, anything that says Metro on it, Metro has to keep up with those roads. They have to do the lighting. They have to pay plumbers to go out there. They have to pay electricians. They have to pay cement workers. It's not just the transit it affects. It affects the livelihood of a lot of Houstonians, which if you were mayor, if anybody was mayor, you would want those jobs being attracted here. You would want the infrastructure to change to get those jobs and get that economy going and get everything. I just don't see the purpose of him wanting to satisfy a few by hurting one of the biggest employers in Houston.
It would be awful. It would set transit back decades. We're already set back decades, Raul. It would really almost be the nail in the coffin because then we probably would never be able to complete the east-west extension. And then, you want to just say to the Silver Line, it's gone now after you spent all that money. That's really ridiculous.
That is.
To just say when it's right there, it's working beautifully. We can't help the pandemic came. We can't help that a lot of people are not even back into their offices. And we can't help that people don't want to shop in the Galleria right now because they don't feel safe. I mean, we can't help those things. And whether it's real or not real, people just don't feel as safe. So I really appreciate you calling in because I think everyone should ask every candidate. And I think the people need to know especially those that utilize transit. And especially those that if you don't use transit, you probably at least think, boy, look how packed that red line is, taking people down to the Astros. That means there's a whole bunch of cars that are not on the road right now, and I can get home. Or at least you're thinking, look at all those people on the rodeo that can't even get there, and they're driving. Thank God there's Metro to take a whole bunch of people so the cars aren't even worse, because can you imagine the pollution that would be right here in my neighborhood? And so I hope all of you say, you know what? Let's make Metro work better and find out from every candidate, not just me. Obviously, you probably know where I stand, not just John Whitmire, but Sheila Jackson Lee, Gallegos, MJ Khan, Jack Christie, everybody, Lee Kaplan, Hajami, all of them. I'm trying to think who, Robin Williams. So please ask the questions, voters, because that's what you need to know. So you're not surprised when someone comes in and does a bunch of stuff and you say, wait a minute, that made no sense. Didn't we just vote for that 2-3 years ago? Raul, you're a good man. I'm going to give you the last word.
One thing I want to tell, this is more for the viewers. A lot of people don't understand. They say, well, we'll worry more about our first responders. Yeah, I have to realize that when disasters happen, we're there before anybody else. Our buses are moving people out of the water. Our buses are moving people through hurricanes. We're moving trees off the street. We're moving cars off the street. And when you're sick, that nobody wants to even touch you, that the ambulances won't show up, Metro will provide service to go pick you up. We'll use masks, we'll use gloves, we'll use whatever we have. Unknown to everybody, we are part of the first responders team, even though we don't get treated like it. Our drivers never took a day off from the pandemic. Our mechanics never took a day off from the pandemic. We worked every single day while everybody was at home. So next time you see your driver, or you see a MV driver, a Metro driver, a Metro mechanic, y'all got to realize and show these guys love, because they were out there during the hardest of every disaster.
They sure were.
You know what? I never even thought of that.
They sure were.
The heroes at Metro are. You know what, Raul, that touched me. I'm so grateful that you said that. And, I was at a forum, and I was struck up a conversation with a lady who was in a wheelchair. And we were talking about everything. She was very aware of all the issues. And a Metrolift driver came up and couldn't have been more polite and said, "Are you Miss So-and-so?" And she goes, "Yes." She goes, "Okay, well, I'm here for you when you're ready." And then she
People
just went,
forget that.
yeah, and she just went back to the car and was just kind as can be. And the woman and I talked another 5 minutes, and then she got in the Metrolift. And, and then I see like Bill King, wrote all this stuff about, and the subsidy. Well, it's all skewed because the biggest subsidy is Metrolift.
Yeah.
And you want to tell the most vulnerable citizens of the Houston, sorry, because these guys say, you don't deserve to have transit, and you don't deserve to have any mobility. So you're just going to stay in your home 24/7. That's right. Just because they can afford to go places.
Yeah, that's what
places.
They haven't walked in their shoes.
That's
so
right.
They don't know how important mass transit is. And it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
And one other thing too that kind of popped into my mind when Raul was talking about all the great things that we forget about what Metro does. We also have to remember they also have their own police force, and crime is a big issue here. And wouldn't we want more additional eyes, out in the public to deter?
Heck yeah, I know I do.
Yeah.
Well, Raul, thank you.
I'm surprised that one more time before we leave. A lot of people don't know we have a high rescue team. We actually have more rescue trucks than anybody. We have the big trucks that go in the floods. We have boats. We have helicopters. We have a lot of resources that we use and never brag about that we use them, that we've helped people in the past with. We have Hummers that go out in the water.
Wow.
So that's why it kind of touched my heart and upset me when people say, you are not first responders, but we do the duties of a first responder without even saying, bragging. And I give it up to the guys that get on those trucks and go out there during disasters, because they don't ask for one recognition. But every chance I get, I give it to them.
You know what? I'm going to put that in my mantra because that's a great one, Raul. Thank you for sharing it with our listeners. Thank you for sharing it with me and my sidekick, Ruby Dang. And we wish you a great, great day. And don't forget to vote.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. What a good man Raul is.
I mean, you don't think about that, all these disasters we have. And I remember seeing those Metro buses out there getting folks out.
I do too, but I guess it didn't dawn on me.
Well, shame on us for not thanking them.
Yes. Well, God, we got a lot more callers. Is there an Alejandro on there? It must be early voting day. Alejandro, are you there? Or maybe one of the candidates is pledging. I won't take down your signs anymore, Gilbert. Alejandro, are you there? Alejandro.
Hi, I'm here. Gilbert?
Alejandro, you got me. Gilbert Garcia
There we
and Ruby Dang of A Tip from Gilbert.
Good morning, y'all. I just wanted to say, well, first and foremost, in regards to Raul's previous, conversation with you, I am 100% in agreement. The people at Metro are the real heroes. I personally take the Metro, if not every day, as often as I can, because
Amen to you.
Better for the environment, and it's just an overall great system.
Amen to you. Well, thank you, Alejandro. What do you got for us today? By the way, have you voted?
I'm actually going to be voting today. I know I'm a little late to the early voting game, but I'm on my way.
But you're never late because early voting is going to go all the way till I think the 2nd, right?
Yeah, I think
November
that's right.
2nd. So
I believe so.
today would be the first day, and you'll get the prize.
Perfect. As long as I get my sticker. I get mad when I don't get my sticker.
Get your sticker, my man.
It's important. You wear it with pride.
But what do you got for us today, pal?
Well, I hope this isn't too touchy of a subject.
Ooh,
but,
wait a moment. Ruby, a touchy subject. On this show, go for it.
Well, I've been seeing, hearing a lot about Sheila Jackson Lee's leaked audio, and I don't know. For me, I was a little disappointed, maybe not too surprised, given of what I've heard in the past. But I mean, I know things are complicated, especially when the stakes are high. But I wanted to hear your thoughts on the matter. You must have similar. You must be placed in similar situations, and maybe you can provide some insight as to what the heck is going on over there.
Well, first of all, I think it was purposely leaked. All I can say is in the newspaper article, I read what you read probably, and I hear the rumor mill, and I don't know if it's true, but that one of the other lead candidates. What a coincidence! Tearing down signs, leaking stuff, taking money from Metro.
Fishy.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know, but that that it was purposely leaked, but it was done in incognito and this and that. My view is if you're gonna do stuff like that, own it. Remember how commercials say, and this ad is paid for by, or whatever that saying is. Look, I heard it. It's awful, right? It's awful. Yeah. I get that, but here's the thing. We don't know the circumstances. I am sure that if we recorded you, Raul, 24/7, or Ruby or me, and we were having just a miserable day or not feeling good or something stressful, something important, and I'm sure we would get caught saying something off color that we would so much regret. And we don't know if they've reconciled, if she apologized. We don't know the context. And that is why any snippet like that, I don't know. I just think that shouldn't we be focusing on the issues that relate to Houston and our everyday lives, like solving our firefighter issue, like figuring out why we got to boil water, like fixing the roads, like cleaning up some of the corruption that's going on according to the former housing director, like figuring out why we had to give back the $50 million grant to the feds instead of building affordable housing, like why we were selling permits at City Hall and who knew, why we did this procurement 4 times on the airport for the concession contract. I mean, shouldn't we be talking about all of that?
Right.
Exactly. I don't know. I'm kind of torn because I get it. I would not want to be, I don't know the right word, but talked to that way, and nothing really justifies it. But I just want to put it in context, because doesn't the Bible say that he's without sin cast the first stone? Isn't that in the Bible?
There we go.
Yes.
So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it, but I just think that we should be talking more about the issues and the solutions of the issues. Like it took our last caller to reveal what Whitmire said about Metro. Well, why isn't that known?
Right. That
he wants to kill the Silver Line, or he wants to take money from Metro. Why isn't that known? Media, where are you? Houston Chronicle with your endorsement. Why did you ask that question? Is it in there? I don't know. I got to reread it now. Yeah. At the end of the day, people need to know where the candidates stand on real issues that really impact all Houstonians. So I don't know. What are your thoughts there, pal? What do you think?
Well, like I said, I'm a little torn too, because on one hand, I would hate to vote for someone who, and maybe this is me just being naive, and so the same reason why I was initially put off by Trump. He seems like a bad person, in my opinion. And I wouldn't want to put someone up to that pedestal if they're just not going to be, the greatest of people. But I mean, this specific voicemail, it sounded like she was very, very frustrated, and
that's what I heard. I heard.
Didn't have anything nice to say.
Yeah, I heard a lot of frustration. But you brought up something interesting, and I'm not here to make a comparison with Donald Trump, but at the end of the day, I wonder think of the things he has said about women, about people with disabilities, and it's like, well, I guess because he's
out and in the open.
Yeah,
too.
I guess it's okay. But but here we are with a member of Congress that's 30 years, and well, I guess it's not okay. I mean, I don't know. Double standards.
They always exist.
Yeah, but ultimately, I think it's okay to ask about it, to talk about it. And ultimately, though, but I don't think it should be the isolated incident. I think we should talk about all these other issues, like where are people on Metro, like where are people on the firefighter referendum, on implementing it, like what are we going to do with the housing department that now we know is if there's not corruption, there's clearly some sort of what's the right word, incompetence that we cannot utilize a $50 million government grant to build affordable housing. And you know what happened?
I think it was 60.
Is it 60? I think it's 60. Are you ready for this? The county got the money and they're building affordable housing in Pasadena.
Oh, man.
No offense to Pasadena. And I know some of my colleagues at my office work in Pasadena.
Yeah, but it was meant for Houston. And we just lost it. That's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. And that makes no sense. We should know, why is that? Well, I really appreciate you calling in. And Alejandro, what else do you got here for Houston?
Nothing. Just like everyone else has been saying, go vote, and if you are voting, you know who to vote for. So I'm not going to try to sway anyone in particular, but we all know who the ideal candidate is in this election.
Well, amen to one thing you really, really said. Make sure you vote. Alejandro, thank you for calling in.
Thank you, Gilbert.
At Houston, you're calling 832-570-8075. We have two more callers. I want to get them all in. I did want to talk about my great weekend, but golly, I may not get to it, Ruby. Who's our next? Valencia. Is there a Valencia there?
Valencia?
And we've got to remember our Astros tonight.
Oh, got it. Oh, yeah. We got
to rally
like the
for
Latinos,
the Astros.
like the Latinos that we do. We got to light a candle to the Virgin Mary.
We are.
Oh, we got to do that.
Candle.
We got to do that. And I want to make sure we take that pledge. I'm going to challenge all my candidates, take the pledge. And that pledge is quit tearing down signs.
Yes.
Quit tearing down signs. And tell your people to quit tearing down signs. I'm going to put that on my, I think I'll put that on social media.
Yeah.
Is there a Valencia there? Oh, we lost her. Shucks. Who else is on there?
Hello, Marvis? Oh, Valencia. Thank you.
Oh, Valencia's back.
She's back.
It's on for you now.
She's back. Remember that poltergeist? I'm back. Oh, who was that? It's back. I forgot. What scary movie was that?
I don't know.
Oh my God. I don't know. Yeah, I'm
They're
back.
back. I think it's their back, right?
She's back. Oh my God.
Maybe it's poltergeist.
I think I just lost my mind. Valencia, you there?
Yes. How are you, Gilbert? Oh my God, it's been so long. I'm so happy to hear from you.
Well, what are you doing? How are you doing?
I am doing awesome. I have my own magazine now. Superhuman magazine is doing really well.
Oh, tell us about it though. What does that mean, superhuman?
Superhumans have mastery over their emotions. They simply exist to create and exist above all else.
Interesting. Is it like a spiritual magazine?
It's kind of just inspiring.
Inspirational magazine? And if I wanted to get a copy, how do people get a copy?
Well, it is available. You can go to Walmart.com and check out if you want the print copy. It is available free online on my digital version on my website, therightgenius.com. That's TheWrightGenius.com. The Right Genius.
Wonderful. And what got you going to put this together?
Man, writing is just my passion. I've just been writing since I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And I have the gift of just inspiring people. And I'm an Aggie. I was the first Black woman to get my degree to write laws and go to Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill. So that was a huge thing for me as well. So I just continued in my path, just Yes, I can. Learn from the best. Being around you, Gilbert.
Well, Valencia, you know what? I did not realize you've been writing since you're 8 years old. I think that's phenomenal. Some people just have it.
They know.
From
from an early age.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I just don't have it because I try sometimes to write, and I have written 3 poems that I'm working on. I got 2 more to go. I wrote a poem about my wife, a poem about one of my sons, and a poem about one of my daughters. I have 2 more kids to do, but I haven't gotten that inspiration yet. But I'm working on it.
Well, I think you got a lot. You have a lot more to do. You have a whole lot of other things to do. Just leave the writing to me. I got you.
Well, I appreciate that. But writing is such a wonderful skill, and we've got to make sure that we're teaching our kids vocabulary and sentence structure and punctuation and how to write. It's such an incredible skill, and it really pushes their imaginations. And, there was a funny story the other day. I was talking to a teacher, and she was talking about imagination, and she said that there was an apple, and a little girl colored the apple purple, and that the teacher said, apples aren't purple, they're red or green. And the teacher said to me, that's the problem. Why does it have to be red or green? Why can't her imagination imagine a purple apple?
Right.
And why not foster it to say, what an amazing thing, purple apples, and maybe they taste differently. I mean, we want our kids to think differently and to express themselves in painting, art, writing, all of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Gilbert, that was one of the reasons that I absolutely wanted to call in and speak to you about. I know how passionate you are about the children, but Houston, we have an openly wide sex offender. He has press passes to just about everywhere. I go to high schools, plays, he's there. He's covering events at Texas Southern University. Like, he has access to a lot of public, and he's around too many children. He has a proclamation signed by Sylvester Turner. He's also received a Presidential Lifetime Award.
No
I'm not
kidding.
sure how you feel about that, but this is and I'll be happy to send you all the information, but it's a lot of people trying to stand against him right now, and I'm one of those people, so he's kind of upset with me. But I know how passionate you are about the kids, and I know how you are about that. And I have an 8-year-old son. At the end of the day, he didn't have that type of access, to children the way that he does.
Well, I'd like to, this would be I think a good episode for a whole episode, because don't mention his name now. We can maybe talk about it next episode. Because here's the thing. What is the process when you're a sex offender? What happens, and what is the process? And are you, do you integrate back into society? What are the rules? What are the laws? Do you know by any chance?
It happened in Kansas City, Missouri. He had 2 charges of sodomy, a public record, between a 13-year-old girl and a 16-year-old girl.
And so when you do it, is that now a public? Is that a public record? I mean, it travels with you, and
it is public record,
and everyone can see it.
In Kansas City, Missouri, but like I say, for him to just be rewarded the way that he is, and him to have the platform, the media press, and just the platform that he has, is just like, seriously,
And they don't know that he's a convicted sex offender?
I don't know. Like, we're making it public now, but he's kind of, coming back towards us too, making us like we're the problem,
Very interesting. You're the problem just because you want people to be aware of what's public information.
Yes, and I have an 8-year-old son.
Yeah.
Who, and that's just scary to me. And I've been in that position, so.
Well, why don't you call my line later and let's talk about it, because I think that's an interesting subject matter, especially to get the victim's point of view.
Right.
I've had sex traffic survivors, I've had cancer survivors, I've had all kinds of, and hearing it from their point of view is quite powerful. And so that would be something very good, Valencia, if you don't mind.
All right, no, sounds like a plan. Let's do it.
Yeah, just call me later on today, or call and my producer will get it, and then let's just try to hook up ourselves.
All righty, sounds good.
Valencia, thank you for calling in. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Good luck on everything, and I really do hope you get into office, Gilbert.
Well, thank you, madam. It's like they say, it's going to be in God's plans, whatever the future is for me, and we'll be accepting, and we're going to do our best.
All right. It was so good talking to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. I think we have one more caller, right? Marvis.
Marvis? Hello? Marvis? Okay, I'll transfer you now. One moment.
Hello, this is Gilbert Garcia. Tip from Gilbert. Do I have Marvis?
Marvis?
This on the radio station like Sheila.
Oh, this is Horace.
Yes. How you doing, Gilbert?
Horace, you
This
got me,
our
Gilbert
man.
Garcia. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm waiting on to get on the call.
Well, I appreciate you. I'm so sorry to keep you holding. And for Houston, this is Horace Marves, who's the union head over at the Transport Workers Union at Metro. And I've worked with him, and I can tell you he is first class and has the respect of all the rank and file, all the management, and he's just a good human being. Horace, what do you got? You know, Raul called in earlier, and we talked extensively about, and he was very professional, really smart. We talked all about, I guess, John Whitmire coming out saying he wants to divert money away from Metro and wants to now, I heard, just stop and, I don't know the right word, in the green line. Horace, what do you got to say on all that?
Well, most of our projects are voter approval at 98% voter approvals. A lot of the projects that we're working on. And Senator Whitmire, first of all, we've been hearing he wants to appoint a chairman of Metro that's anti-union and just want to contract work out. He also told us at the AFL-CIO meeting, and this came out of Senator Whitmire's own mouth, that he wants to cut a lot of the projects that Metro has voter approval for and wants to spend Metro's money on helping other city divisions off, like the fire department. He said we got deep pockets, and by you being an ex-chairman of Metro, you were the one that put us on the right path for us, you know, taking care of labor, taking care of trying to have a world-class transit system and getting us on track with the federal government. But Senator Whitmire, he is basically saying he gonna move money out of Metro to help fix other things for the city.
You know, that just, I don't know. I have so many feelings about that, and they're all, of course, negative, Horace. And that is why we need to focus on what's important. And this is important. What are the issues and where do the candidates stand? All of them. Because we've worked too hard at Metro to really move forward. And Metro's the only organization that seems to have a referendum every 3 or 4 years where we have to almost like reconfirm our standing with the voters as we continue to progress. And I know in 2012, my referendum that we did together, me and John Bland, who worked, of course, the legend, we had almost 80% of the vote. And then you had the Metro Next a few years ago with about 70% of the vote. Let's move on down the road and embrace Metro and the over 4,000 people that make this city work and get them the right funding on time so we can complete transit, so we can get cars off the road, so our air is breathable again, and so we can get people where they need to go fast, and we can repair the streets and roads and sidewalks at the same time. I mean, Horace, where am I missing?
I don't know if you looked at the figures. Metro is already spending almost like $600 million going to bike trails and different images in the city. And I mean, they bleeding us dry. We don't have money other than to barely, you know, labor. The labor is, they forgot about us for 20 years. They built the rail without federal funding.
You know what makes no sense to me is, listen, I love bicycles and bike lanes. I love all that. But at the end of the day, we still have about 75% of our bus stops that are not even sheltered. About half our bus stops are not ADA compliant. We still haven't connected the east-west line, meaning the Silver Line with the.
But I got some good news on that. We just we just contracted out like 200 to 300 shelters. So y'all finna see some real results.
Oh, how wonderful.
Right.
That is wonderful. Where I'm going is we have so many needs for our citizens. And people
Right.
want to, cut back Metro. And what are you going to do? Eliminate Metro Lift? The people who are most vulnerable? Are you going to eliminate Park and Ride? I mean, you're going to just let the Silver Line just
Yeah.
not run it anymore?
We have what they call curb-to-curb service now
Yep.
from MV, where they pick up handicap and different people. And these are the divisions that'll be cut the most. And you're right. The ADA people already don't have a way to get around. But it's a shame that a man would come in and want to be mayor, cutting one agency to help another agency instead of getting that agency the proper funding.
That's right.
I mean,
and the whole city of Houston has not been managed well. And just because Metro has been in the last, since 2010, you want to penalize them. No.
right.
The answer is no. You know what, Ors? I'm going to lose you in about 30 seconds. I'm going to give you the last word. You got about 30 seconds. And would you call next week? This is an important topic.
Well, yes. I just want everybody out there that's listening in to understand that this is a very important election for mayor, and that we need the right mayor. And Gilbert, I worked with Gilbert before, and it'll be a pleasure to work with him again.
Amen.
And I just want to, just throw that nugget out there, because there are some good candidates running for mayor other than John Whitmire, who wants to cut Metro budget. And the city has already offered the firemen equal pay. It's just that they need to sit down at the negotiating table and work it out with the next mayor. But we can't have a mayor in there that's gonna take funds, rob Peter to pay Paul.
Amen. Horst, I really hope you call me next week, because I want to put you at the beginning of the show, because I think there's a lot we got to talk about, because I'm going to have to sign off right now. Horst Mars, thank you for calling in. What a gentleman he is, Houston. This is a tip from Gilbert, and we'll see you next time. This is Gilbert Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert. Houston's not working for everyone. People don't feel safe. Potholes are everywhere. Water bills are and minority businesses are struggling. That's why I entered the race for mayor. Read about my 100-day pledge to Houston at GarciaForHouston.com. Thank you.
Political ad paid for by Garcia for Houston campaign.
This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia. Listen to my radio show, A Tip from Gilbert. Talk, inspiration, and prayer every Monday from 11 a.m. till noon on Houston's gospel leader, KWWJ. 1360 AM and streaming live on kwwj.org. Listen on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM and streaming live on kyokradio.org. KCOH 1230 AM, The Source. On San Geek Radio 95.1 FM 1460 AM. And Aliento Radio 101.7 FM and 1540 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then.